All right, good morning, everyone. Let me get going here. All right, Friday session was actually a down session on the S&P, which is really kind of been a consistent theme for the last week or so, but it hasn't really made an impact on the rest of the global markets. There hasn't been a whole lot of follow-through. We did kind of trade up relatively close to the highs on the close, but still 6 of the last 7 days down. Personal spending and Michigan consumer confidence numbers just couldn't really get the market to lift. We did have some good jobless claims numbers on Thursday, but just kind of trading sideways, slightly down ahead of this, the debt ceiling fight again. You can see this morning that we've got a nice sell-off on the S&P, down 13 points on the future, basically ahead of a potential shutdown at midnight tonight. So, hopefully you guys have read enough to understand the basics of what's going on there. But, bottom line, obviously, there's a showdown between the Republicans and the Democrats over extending the budget, and they're looking for something back on Obamacare for that. So Asian markets obviously throwing some follow through there. We did also have some slightly weaker data out of China. The PMI numbers came in, I think, at we'll show them in a second, but I think 50.2 versus 51.2. So a bit of a miss there. That was the first kind of weak number we've had out of China in a while. We did have a slightly better manufacturing numbers, I think, out of Japan, but obviously not enough to overcome what we're looking at in the big picture. So basically, we've also got the Italian government that's on the verge of collapse after allies of Berlusconi said that they will quit the cabinet. So there's also a little bit of angst in Europe. So kind of a big day all of a sudden where we get a lot of anxiousness toward the government side, and obviously you've seen the pressure in the markets, some follow through finally out of Asia. This morning we got two stocks that are ex-div. We've got MMI and SGLs. So watch those this morning. We also had the strike from SAB workers that are striking today over the pay dispute. There's not really been any follow through, I don't believe, out of the Anglo Platinum strike potential. So we'll have to continue to monitor that and see what's going forward. But it's the first time this is a really important. It's a really important occurrence, I think, with what you're seeing with SAB, because all of this turmoil has really pretty much been relegated to either manufacturing or mining, and then all of a sudden now you're seeing spill over here to breweries. I think it's going to worry the market a little bit that could spill over into lots of other workforces, that we may start to see a lot of strikes and big wage negotiations. So I think overall that's quite a negative for the market. All right, like we said, we saw industrial production numbers out of Japan this morning, and housing start numbers. They were a little weaker than expected. I think manufacturing numbers were better, but they're not listed there. We've got HSBC PMI numbers out of China, which we said missed this morning. We've also got German retail sales that just came out a little while ago. We've got mortgage apps out of the UK. We've got CPI in the Eurozone, and we've got the trade balance here locally. Then in the States, we've got Chicago PMI and Dallas Fed manufacturing numbers. So not too big of a day today on data. I think we'll broadly ignore the data due to the fact of what we've got kind of on the cards tonight. So it'll really be we've got a lot to pay attention to today. We've got quarter end. We've got the Italian situation. We've got the U.S. situation. So there's really a lot to pay attention to today. So just be careful out there. And the cutoff tonight for the U.S. is at midnight tonight, so that's kind of going to be the deadline. Unless there's some sort of breaking news that progress is being made, I think the markets will continue to be shaken until then. All right, let's jump into the maps. All right, first thing I want to have a look at here is Naspers. I'm going to look at it on a 30-day. Obviously, this thing's looking quite bullish on the long-term charts here, but we kind of made a bit of a double top up here around 956 on Naspers, 955, 956, and I just wanted to show here. So the bottom line here is we've been in the sideways range now for maybe 8, 9 trading sessions, maybe even 10 trading sessions. Below 922. The lows from right here on the 18th. That's where I would look to. At 921.11 was the lows. The close was at 22.40. That's where I would really look. If we drop below that level, let's call it 922. I really think that we can accelerate to the downside here, and we may come down to maybe test where we broke out from, which was at around 876. So I know this one's a difficult one to short. Just be careful of that. But if we do drop 922, this thing should gather some steam to the downside. All right, MTN kind of made a little bit of a breakout here on Friday's close. You can see there we're still looking at a 30-day, but making a nice little a bullish little flag pattern here to the upside. I would wait this morning. Obviously, we're going to open up down, so this could be obviously under a lot of pressure first thing this morning. If it does manage to kind of regain itself and push up, if we get above 98.60, I think you can definitely play this thing to the long side and probably see it up closer to 200. So just watch that one, watch that level in case we do start to see real outperformance there. We'll look at Rimgrow as well, kind of on the 30-day, and you can see this thing's making a little bit of a rounded reversal. 92 would be the level that we would look for this morning. If we drop at 92, I think we will come back and test. Sorry, that's a horrible line. We will come back and test about 188 probably. So watch that one. That could be a great little intraday trade if we drop 192 today in Rimgrow. Sasol, I'll look at this quickly at the 30-day, and we'll look at it on the year chart. The 30-day, you can see here, if we drop down to kind of 480, sub 480, I think this thing could be under pressure. I also think that these strikes that we've seen out of SAB and that kind of thing, people could start to worry that we'll see spillover into Sasol and the likes. So I think this thing's really been trading poorly over the past few sessions, relative to the market. The market's been sprinting. We've been under pressure here. It's underperformed almost every day, and you can see, we're looking a little bit head and shoulder-ish. That's just quite a rough head and shoulder, but bottom line is there's some support here around 477. So if we could drop trend support and drop 477, this thing could come under a little bit more pressure. I'm going to look at Foschini. Foschini I just want to show as well. You can see it's made a bit of a reversal here short term and drop below trend support. Let's just shorten it up a little bit so you can kind of get a little bit better idea. So we have dropped maybe short-term support here, but the big level where we broke up from when we made this breakout was 103. That level is really well defined. We can back this thing up and we can take it across, and it hits other points here at 103, even back half a year to almost a year ago. The 103 is a big level, so this could be a nice little opportunity to snag some of these things. If we get down and try to test support at 103 and it holds, it could be a good little opportunity in Foschini. All right, Massmart, you can see same sort of thing. We dropped out the bottom and support here at 170. This was a nice little consolidation pattern that we saw here, and we've broken out to the bottom. I at least expect this thing to come down and test 165 today. I'll probably test it on the open. If we drop 165, for a potential inverse head and shoulder setup, I would look all the way down to 160, which is really where we broke out from when we bottomed out here at the end of August and beginning of September. So watch this one closely, 65 and 60 in Massmart, the big levels there. And the last one I want to look at is in London, PSN. You can see here, beautiful head and shoulder chart, really dropping major support right here on Friday at about let's call it 11 pounds, or call it 1090 even, and you can see we dropped there to about the 200-day moving average. I think this thing has a significantly lower target, at least 1 pound, probably 1 pound 50, maybe even 2 pounds all the way from here. So we look for that same sort of move to the downside, and I think that I think this is be a nice one to jump on the back of. And that's it for today, guys. Thanks a lot.